We talk about globalization of markets and obviously moving into renewables and tapping the LNG that we have here in America and now exporting a ton of that to Europe, trying to help Europe out. Obviously, I know you watch Europe as well. What's your thoughts with what's going on over there? Is there going to be a contagion effect from the recession that Europe's probably already in, if not going into?
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely very concerned about Europe. You know, Europe was in a bad place already, and then you threw in top on top of this the Russia issue. Now, I think the Russian issue and energy in Ukraine that has just accelerated all the problems that they've had. I would tend to agree with you. They're probably already in a recession. This winter is going to be a really tough winter. I'm not probably telling anyone anything they don't already know. But they are heavily reliant and increasingly heavily reliant on the United States and places like Qatar for LNG. They just can't, again, going back to that sort of time to build problem that I mentioned, all of these issues require time to resolve themselves because you have to physically build infrastructure. These are not technological problems that someone in Silicon Valley sitting behind a computer can solve with a couple of lines of code. These are billion-dollar refineries, billion-dollar pipelines, et cetera. And so from a U.S. perspective, as a very large trading partner with the EU, we need to be concerned with their economy because of the potential for blowback. You look at things like, for instance, chemical production, BASF, and there's a great Substack written by Doomberg that covers a lot of this material, and you can find them on Twitter. But BASF is one of the largest chemical producers in the world, and 1/3 of all they produce is produced in Europe on the basis of cheap Russian natural gas. We import 26-27 billion dollars of chemicals a year from Europe. To the degree that Europe can't produce those chemicals because of energy, the cost of those chemicals goes up, and that's an inflationary pulse back to the United States. We need more pipeline capacity here in the US for natural gas. We need more natural gas production, not only for domestic consumption, but also to export to Europe. We're an interconnected system, and we need to start thinking a little more holistically about the system.
So when we're talking about, in essence, for our audience and U.S. investors in general, it sounds like you're saying, and please clarify if I'm not picking this up correctly, is we need to be watching Europe
Yeah,
because Europe, what happens in Europe will directly affect our markets, and that might be the second blow that could potentially be another leg lower in the markets.
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Good. I just wanted to clarify that. Now, when we're talking about the strength of, our central bank and the Fed coming out and raising rates and seeing the GDP print of negative 0.9%, kind of not as bad as some thought, but of course worse than the camp that had the half a percentage point positive. We're seeing the fluctuation in the US dollar now. And obviously, the currency market and the strength of the US dollar is going to hurt the emerging markets and everything else. Do you think that the strength of the U.S. dollar is going to come back down, or are we in a full bull run with the U.S. dollar?
Watch the full episode. You can find it at youtube.com/seekingalpha.